Every effort you put in life is an investment. The universe is the accountant. So the effort you put in is what you call your investment into life, the defining your future. The distance between preparation and opportunity is dependent on men. So you need power in a form of knowledge, understanding, spiritual authority, and capacity.
Prime Council, guiding next generation leaders.
Hello, everybody.
Every effort you put in life is an investment. The universe is the accountant. So the effort you put in is what you call your investment into life, the defining your future. The distance between preparation and opportunity is dependent on men. So you need power in a form of knowledge, understanding, spiritual authority, and capacity.
Prime Council, guiding next generation leaders.
Hello, everyone. So good to see you. I want to see your name. I want to see what location you're joining from tonight. So nice to see everyone. Thank you all for joining. We're about to kick off this month again. So, guys, yes. Can I see your names? Yes, if you're from Nigeria, from the UK, from US, so good to see you. Can I see your names in the chat? We're about to fly up very soon. So just wanna see the names. Yes, Rafa from Nigeria. Good evening from Nigeria. Good evening from the UK, from the US, from Russia. We have from Ghana. Just want to see your name and location. And guys, thank you very much for the reviews, for the feedback that we got last session. Of course, I extended, the feedback to my team, to Mikel, and this evening again, we're about to hit it big again. So guys, I want to see your names and location. I want to see your names and location. Yes, I'm just giving a moment. Yes, I can see Yemi from Nigeria, Bosse from Nigeria. I can see Fola from Nigeria. We're gonna move in 3 minutes. So, guys, I just want you to drop. How have you been, guys? How have you been? How have you been in terms of your growth, in terms of your personal development? Is there any question that you want me to answer on this call? So I want you to drop it on the chat. I'm monitoring the chat also, and my admin is at the back end to monitor any questions we've got. So good to see everyone. Just share the links, invite your friends, just tell them we're about to, just start shortly. Yes. And now it starts. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our monthly webinar. This is the month of September, and we've started this from January. You recall, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Now we're in September, and of course, every month has been so phenomenal. And I'm sure that you're taking the lessons, key actions that seek to move you forward to the next level. And I want to refer back to the first month. The topic was scaling new heights, and I'm very sure that with the information we've shared both on our live session and on Instagram, on TikTok, you've been able to move from the level you are on currently to the next level of greatness you want to achieve for yourself. And this evening, we're about to go much more deeper. And one of the reasons why I chose this topic is speaking with many young people, speaking with older people, one of the clear signs of should I say fear, anxiety, and trauma is there is no sign of direction or no sense of direction. And I'm being careful with my words here. Most people don't have a clear sense of direction in terms of their journey in life. And I appreciate that we'll have parents on this call, and thank you very much for joining. I also want you to get your kids to also join, because they're going to be making use of the information we're going to share on this session tonight. But I'm very much focused on young people from the age of 15 to 30 years old. And why is that? Why is that? Why is there a bias there? Because we have the energy, and guess what? You are the first beneficiary of a transformation. Of course, you know that's one thing I always say here. That for any result you achieve in life, you're the first beneficiary of it. But guess what? The bankruptcy of transformation will be felt by most young people, because by the law of life, older people, for example, they retire from corporate, sectors. Some of them pass away. Some of them, even though they are alive, they are not in their productive years. So many of these lessons are tailored towards young people because of the advantage of time. And I think that's a very good place to start this evening. I've counseled many young people over the past 1 month. And one of the things that has been so recurrent is there is no drive for true success as young people. We don't have drive for true success. And I'm going to just say this. I'm going to say this. I was on a session with 2 different people, mentees that booked a session with me. Of course, I know that they could not afford the charge of having me for such time. But I thought, okay, let's give back. Let's help these people scale up. And do you know what I noticed? Do you know, for the 2 people that we had over 3-hour session, 2-hour session, some of them fell asleep during the call. And I'm very serious here. Not just 1, not 2, fell asleep on the call. And it got me thinking that at what point do a young person begin to understand the concept of time? And of course, you've seen most of my videos in recent days. I've been speaking about time. I've been speaking about time management. I've been speaking about opportune time. That's because that's the new revelation I just got. That destiny is time. And you're thinking, for example, on a live stream, there are many young people that could have been here. But for one reason or the other, they're gonna tell you something like, oh, my phone, I don't have time, data, and etc. And that might seem so genuine, like I always say, that seems so genuine. I completely understand. But the big question is, do life really understand? Do life really understand the excuses you make towards inaction, towards failure? No. So the moment you begin to desire and value the cost of true success, that is the point at which you begin to connect the dots. Now we're flying here. Can I have my slide? Thank you. The power of orientation, and that's one of the things that we're going to start with. Yes. Can you just reduce it? Thank you. Look at something very, very profound there. And I want you to, I took out time to prepare this slide because I don't want you to just take my word for it, because of course it's a live session and I'm speaking fast. I'm trying to make it of the time, but you can also take screenshots. Can we reduce the pictures? Thank you. Sometimes life wants to give you equity, but you desire a check. Look at that. Life wants to give you equity, but you desire a check. So life it's got abundance. There's so much money in today's world, but despite the abundance and availability of money, we have many parts of the world, many people that are victims of abject poverty. So life is not to be blamed here. But when you go check, most people desire just check. And of course, this world is abundant. Previous slide, please. Thank you. So you see that. So just look at that, equity and check. So I think the first thing is you must begin to think as a young person, as a parent, what part of life am I tilting towards? Is it equity in terms of abundance, or is it check, limited resources? Just a moment. Look at something, the foundation of knowledge. And that's the first thing I want you guys to take home this evening. Study everything about something, but also study something about everything. Look at the difference here. Develop expertise in your chosen field. As a young person, master the fundamentals and become a go-to person in your area of specialization, but also become somebody that knows something about everything. So it's a duality of thought here. Yeah, you have to know everything about something, your area of specialization, but you have to know something about everything. That's what makes you stand out, because you're saying, I want to connect small ideas to big impact. And most people backs in that euphoria of having ideas. Oh, I've got this idea, but the pathway to making it become impact, big impact, you will need to learn a lot of things. For example, let me use a more practical example. A pastor, for example, you think studying your Bible is the basic. As a pastor, studying your Bible, praying, but you want to become a pastor that is renowned globally, then you will need human management, you will need personal development skills, you will need financial education. And that is where most young people cheat themselves. Most times they streamline themselves on the first one. They know everything about something, but come to other areas of life, they are bankrupt of knowledge. The banquet of knowledge. So I want you guys to take home this evening that what's the base of your knowledge. The quality of results is dependent on the quality of person you become. You can't talk about moving your ideas, that small idea you have in your heart, you've written down as a vision, and you want to make it become a global and a big impact, is based first of all on the quality of the person you become. And what transforms who you become is knowledge. The difference between you as an ordinary person and the next person as an extraordinary person is knowledge. And it's that knowledge that superimposes even your physical limitations that still make you achieve anything that you would have thought to achieve. 3 non-negotiables for building global impact. 3 non-negotiables. And I want you to see this. Look at this. If you want to move from ideas to big impact, to global impact, you need 3 types of knowledge. And it took me so much time to be able to prepare this because I was like, I need to get my audience to get to the heart of this. We need to achieve results as young people this year. This is September. And we have October, November, December. How can you amplify your knowledge base that makes you achieve what you want to achieve, that what you've set down for 2025? Or can we make my picture bigger? Thank you. The first one is revelation. Revelation. You can't talk about connecting the dots if you don't have an idea. So you need an idea, number one. You need a vision and you need a concept. As a young person, whether you're from Nigeria, you're from Lagos, you're based in the UK, the first thing you need to be able to get to the top, scaling global heights, is having a sense of vision, a concept and an idea that is unique to you. That's what we call raw knowledge. And many people have abundance of raw knowledge. When you meet people one-to-one, they tell you many things in your hand. You're like, this is, and you begin to think about it. This can really scale global heights. But then you don't just stay at raw knowledge, and that's where many young people are on. Raw knowledge, unrefined knowledge. That's revelation. And almost everybody in today's world has something to say. That's a revelation. You must get to understanding, which is refined knowledge. The moment you say that you want to join this call, you're moving from revelation to understanding. Because most people say something like, oh, I know what you're talking about. No, but there's no proof. There's no results to show for that. So you need to put yourself into systems and structures. For example, always joining the webinars every month is a proof that you want to gain understanding of the revelation. That's your ideas, concept, and vision that you have. You experience transformation, systems, and structures. But then now, let's say most people stay in the realm of refined knowledge. So when you see them speak, they're so refined. But in terms of the results that they can achieve or that is obvious in their life, have you not met people that you look at them, they're so eloquent, they're so refined, but you just see the bankruptcy of results because of one thing that is deficient, which is wisdom. So you saw the picture here. You must move from revelation to understanding to wisdom. And what is wisdom? Applied knowledge. Applied knowledge. Applied knowledge. That's results, outcomes, and outputs. You can't talk about scaling global heights, having big impact, if you can't get your ideas, concept, and vision to making them become outputs, results, and outcomes. And no wonder Dr. Miles Bevere will say that the most expensive place on earth is the graveyard, because many dreams left untold, many stories, many books, many records that were not broken lie there. I don't want you to be part of that. So join me, guys. Now, understanding human orientation. Because the difference between you and the next person is the orientation. Yeah? The orientation. Just trying to get my slides. Yes, thank you. People are not just their biological frame, they are their orientation. This is the information wiring that determines their character and the reasons behind what they do. And now, you think about it, that why is it that some people are just born into stardom? And no wonder there's that adage that says the rich always become rich and the poor always become poor. And you must make sure that as much as you can be born into a poor family, you can be born into a struggling family, you don't have that orientation as a young person. And many people have been victims of the orientation. What is orientation? Your belief system. So life configures us through our experiences, the things you see as a young baby. So you don't even know why you behave the way you do, because you grew up in a locality that was haphazard, and now you see life from that standpoint. But it is the internal compass that guides every decision and shapes every outcome. You must pay attention to your worldview. Some people are pessimists. They never believe anything can work out. They are always fearful. They are always anxious. They are unbelievers. And even when you're a Christian, and I've seen Christians that are believers by confession, but unbelievers by mindset, they can never speak any word of faith. Why? Because of subconsciously or unconsciously, they've seen subsequent faith, they've seen failure repeatedly. Yeah, they don't believe that anything good can come out. No wonder that was what we know in the Bible with Nathaniel. He said, can any good thing come out of Nazareth? Because of the track record of the Nazarenes. Next slide. So, destiny realities. And this was about me. I've told you my story. In 2018, I had a dream. I woke up from that dream. I was speaking at the United Nations. I was broke. I was in Oregota, Ikorodu. Nothing. But I had this dream. Remember, I'm painting a picture here. I had this dream of me as a young person speaking at the United Nations. I woke up from the dream, but I didn't just, and the dream seemed so good. Like Joseph. Oh, you had a dream that people will bow down to you. But there's a journey from that dream to reality. From that dream, from that vision, to making it become an outcome, an output. The first thing I started doing was, for the past, I think 2 years that I was at home before I came for my master's, I was always watching Al Jazeera, BBC. I was always locked into the UN. As at that time, I knew all the capitals of all the countries in the world. I was always following global news. And this is because I know that you can't just talk about revelation. You must back it up with an understanding of how will this thing work out. So look at something. Mark yourself as a young person, as a parent on this ladder. And nobody, if I told you, for example, you're a local champion, you're gonna get offended. You're gonna be like, no, I'm gonna be great. That's my confession. But in reality, many people are local champions. Meanwhile, like I said, life wants to give you equity. It wants to take you to the top, becoming a global voice. So you start from being a local champion, but people stop at that. So for example, years later in 2023, I got to United Nations. Guess what? I was not addressing the president of the world. No. I was addressing youths. And that's where most people stop. They get one result at the point, and they tabernacle, they stop their journey. But if we're talking about the topic we're speaking about tonight, connecting the dot, it must lead to a destination, and that's why I'm emphasizing global impact. Because one of the core themes of who we are raising as Prime Council, we're not raising followers, and that's why our structure is different. We are guiding the next generation of leaders. So you're thinking, I'm a young person. Oh, well, don't worry. Once you stay committed to the process, and I'm gonna, of course, I didn't know anybody at the United Nation. I didn't know anybody. But let me tell you guys, the law of growth states that once you begin to grow internally, there must be a corresponding output. Once your mindset begins to change, your knowledge base, there must be a corresponding outward manifestation. So you might be thinking, how will I get to the World Bank? No, you don't think about that. You prepare for the opportunities. You don't think about the opportunities. You prepare for the opportunities you want as if it's going to come. The race is not to the swift, but time and chance, and I've said it here many times, happens to them all. You're getting to global leadership, speaking to world leaders, and that's why I've been stretching myself, preparing, always reading books, always on YouTube, refining myself, because I must get back to the United Nations and speak and address presidents as an advisor or as a consultant. And you know the funniest thing, and some people are thinking, oh, is it possible? Well, you were not there when I had the dream. But I went to the UN, I've spoken at the UN, not once, not twice, but it's in context now. So there are destiny realities available for every level. You have it in your destiny to reach the top, but you could settle for being a local champion. I don't want it to be that, and that's why you have to be locked in on everything we've got to offer you. Do you know there are many young people that to benefit from what we're going to have, they have to even go back to our first webinar. But guess what? It's all free over there on the channel, but most people don't take advantage of it. Preparation versus opportunity. Because if you're talking about connecting the dots, that's why I spoke about the desire for true success. Because there are many people, let me tell you, that want to be average. And I'm careful with my words here, because we say something like, oh, I'm going to be great and etc. But he said it's by your actions that justifies what you want. The way they behave, the way they live their life shows that mediocre mentality. So how ready are you for the opportunities you want? Look at an emphasis that I placed there. Don't let stardom meet you unprepared. Don't let stardom meet you unprepared. And I'm echoing this to a lot of young people on this call. And you're thinking, I'm 15 years old, I'm 20, I'm 25, I'm 30. Don't let stardom, don't let opportunity meet you unprepared. It has met many people unprepared, and there's been havoc and casualty. Your preparations can defeat the intention of God. Look at Jacob, for example. He got the blessing, but he had no concept. The Bible said of him in the book of Genesis, if you're familiar with the Bible, there was the man of the tent. What does that mean? He had no exposure. He was a mommy's boy. And this was a guy that had the blessing. But guess what he did? Because there was no exposure, no experience, someone who had the blessing became a servant, a slave for over 20 years. That's what happens when there's no exposure and experience. That's what happens when you're not prepared for what you want. You will live a life of servitude and slavery. I don't want you to be like Jacob. You must begin to prepare for the opportunity. And I'm echoing it. Guess what, guys? Based on the law of nature in today's world, in the 21st century, and this is very profound. And let me say this. Most of you are using a template of your parents, for example. But guess what? Your parents grew up in the 60s, in the 70s, and the 80s. Today's world has changed. There's AI that's invading and that's invaded the space. And now there's that shift, and I'm going to get there from just conforming to standards to bringing out innovations and creativity. What am I saying? That the gap between the upper class and the middle and lower class is widening. Most of our parents belonged to the middle class. Most people in third world countries, in first world countries, we only have few elites globally. And now, because of the economic crisis, everywhere, global pandemic, the gap between the upper class and the lower class is widening. And this is the forecast here. We're going to have many people in the next 5-10 years that are going to be victims of abject poverty. Because first of all, AI will lead to loss of jobs. And for many of you, for example, that have not adopted that mindset of innovation, of creativity, you're going to be stranded. And that's what is happening in major parts of Africa, for example, Nigeria. The abject poverty in the land. And many people are victims of it. Why? They are doing things the way it's done last 15 years, last 20 years. But that's not the case in today's world. There's need for an re-engineering of your lifestyle, of your mindset, of your purpose. When preparation meets opportunity, extraordinary things happen. But without preparation, even divine opportunities can pass you by. And I'm not going to dwell too much on this, the family factor, because many young people, like I said, they came from struggling, average, broke background, but that should be a major motivation for wanting to leave the trenches and live in the average zone. But many people have taken that as their source of excuse. And they will tell you, for example, I don't have money. I don't have money for data. I don't have money for laptop. I don't have money for excuses. And I've said, you can tell that to people and they will understand you. But life in itself is non-emotional. It doesn't listen to excuses. It only yields consequences. The moment you get that, you become non-emotional about your situation. You become non-emotional about your situation. The power of delayed gratification. I'm trying to fly because I want us to capture many things with this time we'll have. The first one is today. You have nothing doing with connecting a dot if you don't have a vision, if you don't have an idea or a concept. And you're thinking I'm a young person, but there's many things in you. It could be a gift, it could be a talent, it could be a skill, but there's something that you must use to get what you want. Many young people enjoy the state of nothingness. They will tell you something like, I don't have anything. They will tell you something like, I don't know. I don't have. I don't know. Nothing. Those are words that exist with mediocre people. So there must be a seed that you have. There's something in you because nobody was, and let me tell you the truth. Don't think you were born on this set with nothing. There's something inside of you, and I'm stretching my voice because I want you to get to your spirit man, because I want you to awake from that state of helplessness and nothingness, and you wake up that you must begin to take your life as a serious business. As at now, many people, not even young people, even older people, are stuck in other people's life, and they are victims of this trend today or this viral post tomorrow. But how many people are making their own life the major emphasis? Many people spend their time on other people's life and their choices, and they ignore their own life. But why am I saying this? Because we are custodians of personal development. We must say that, because what happens is that you lead to moral decadence in the society. The moment there's one person that is not refined in Nigeria, in the UK, we are still, even those that are refined are still at risk. Because now we must begin to bear the burden of bringing them up to where we are. That's why, for example, black tax is one of the major crumbling, effects of people in the diaspora. And I'm saying these things practically. And why? Because people, for example, in third world countries, not just as people, but even as a continent, we believe in aid. We believe in foreign aid investment. Always, for example, Donald Trump, it blocks US aid, and people, for example, in Ghana and Nigeria, national government are crying and agitated for that. Who does that? So as a country, so the moment you have all this revelation, you know that you being a citizen of a particular country, know that your country, first of all, does not even have plan for you. And that does not mean that you're not, for example, a Ghanaian or a South African or a Nigerian or someone from the Philippines, but that for you to, like I said in the last webinar, you want to help somebody, most times you have to come out of that system. First of all, it could be physically, but number two, it could be mentally. You can't think like an average African. You can't think like an average Asian in a third world country, and you want to get to the globe. And I said it in the last webinar that many of you are going to be working with multinationals, but you don't have the mindset yet, because I see that in the many young people I work with and I speak with. So the second point is 5 years. Most people are stuck in that euphoria of thinking short term. We are small thinkers. And these things are not things that someone taught me. As I go through life, as I press into thinking about creativity, I see that the difference between you and great people, the power of long-term thinking. Once you begin to think in 5 years, once you can wake up this tomorrow morning and say, where will I be in 5 years? Once you forecast it, will I be serving somebody? That's dangerous. Let me take my journey now. You don't have to get to 5 years and become a slave before you start working towards freedom. I've started thinking 5 years. Any of the key decisions I want to take nowadays, I think about the impact of it and the effect of it in 5 years. Any decision I'm not taking today, there were many people when I traveled out 2019, they had the opportunity to travel out on a platter of gold. On a platter of gold. But they trivialized it. Guess what? Canada, United Kingdom, US, they are blocking their borders with restrictions. And now people are waking up. When you spend almost your fortune, people sell their houses just to migrate. Meanwhile, that was on a platter of gold a few years ago. And I'm going to get you. Because destiny is time conscious. So my friend told me something, and I just pitched the wisdom behind it. She told me that in 4 years, she spent £9,000 on transport, on Uber in the UK. So in the 4 years, or I think 5 years, she spent £9,000 on Uber. Yeah. Guess what? If someone told her last 5 years that you're going to spend £9,000 on Uber, you should say yes. You say no, I need to get a car. But guess what? Uber knows that you don't think in 5 years. So they charge you £5, 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, 10 Ghana cedis, little by little. But when you accumulate it, that's what makes Uber different from you. So you are the one that's enriching Uber, because they think long term and you think short term. You're thinking we are doing all of this because I don't have work to do. We're thinking long term, and that's why we spend thousands of pounds and without any restriction, because we know the power of long-term investment. I'm spending all these pictures as a young person. You must get the true picture behind. If you're going to live 80 years old, you're 20, that's a 60 years plan that you have to make from tonight. What do you want to do for 60 years? Organizations that have existed, they have all this plan, and that's why they're sustainable. Second one is 10 years. You should write it down. I remember myself, I was 13, wrote down my goals, 17, 21. I didn't even know it in this context. I just knew that as a young person, you have a sense of direction. And over and again, when I just check through my diaries and library, I see some of these I've written down last 10 years, and I'm amazed. Some of you on this call this evening, you have no goal. I'm speaking to you, I'm seeing the live chat. You have no goal. You've never written down any goal you want to accomplish. Have a long-term plan. Start thinking in 5 years, in 10 years. The distance of the journey you want to cover determines how early you start, and we get to the next one, the education revolution. And I appreciate the fact that we have parents, we have advanced people on this call, and I think it's also good because it shapes your mindset. But most importantly, I want you to connect this, what we're teaching you. I want you to share it and link many young people with these teachings, because it's going to help them. If you're a young person on this call, I want you to take all these teachings very seriously. There's what we call the old model. And no one is going to tell you this. No one has been so thoughtful to tell you this. But the previous generation, they tried on memory strength. So the ability to cram information, the ability to have a first class, for example. Baba, you hear people say, oh, give me verbatim. I don't want you to tweak it. If you go to an exam, the ability to download it, and you think, oh, I'm good, I'm the best first class student. But in today's world, no existence. The current education model kills creativity, especially in Africa. And of course, in most parts, even here in diaspora, in first world countries, for example, you can do an engineering course and never even touch a machine. Everything is all paper. And you get into the corporate world and you're useless. And you see people that have not even been as educated as you, even ruling you. Because the current education model kills creativity and breeds competition. Most of you, your major drive is to have a first class degree. First class. And I'm not saying it should not be excellent. But as at today, as at now, your major emphasis, and I said it in the last call, your ability to critique system thinking and creativity. And I'm not going to share all of this because I don't have time, and that's why you need to join some of the courses that we're launching very soon. Yeah, because you're gonna think you get first class 4.7, 5.7. I came out with a distinction, and it's going to be irrelevant in today's world. And am I saying it should be inconsequential? Am I saying it should be mediocre? No. I'm saying that can be an added advantage only when there's a base, when you can solve real life problems in any sector or industry. And that's why I was mentioning your idea, your vision, concept. That's what stands you out. Not necessarily that paper that they give you at the University of Stanford or Hertfordshire or Unilag or OAU. The new reality is smartness and creativity. Do you know an average student or citizen of third world countries are not smart? Yes. I'm from a third world country, so I'm speaking as someone from the soil. I've been here for 6 years. There are many things that I knew that were limitations. And I still see those loopholes even in my own self today. And I'm there thinking, I wish these people can hear the voice behind what I'm saying. The model is not preparing you for excellence, for a life of impact. It's preparing you to be mediocre. For example, a first class degree to get a good job. But no one is telling you about that concept you have. You own a business, an enterprise. We have reached the end of global industrialization where academic education was the core. Now, all what you want to put in your head, everything is on AI. ChatGPT even has more memory strength than some of you. We are now in an era of technological innovation where creativity and systems thinking are emphasized. I mean, you know what system thinking is. That's what connecting the dots is. The ability to see the big picture, the ability to critique system, the ability to ask questions. I'm going to get there. Curiosity, audacity. Environment shapes everything. Your environment is everything. And I said, look, you can be in a physical location and have a completely different mental experience. And this is it. And I know young people. I've been a young person. I'm working with many young people. I've worked with many young people. Most people, they romance and like mediocrity. And I've said in one of my videos, you know there's somebody in your community that is better than you, that when you go meet the person, you're going to talk about politics, talk about business, but because you don't want to feel beneath, you don't want to feel less, you rather go to a place that you be the local champion and talk about ladies, talk about football, just about gossips. Meanwhile, you should have gone to a place whereby you will not be the main actor. And I've seen that trait with many of us. We like to be the starman of the show. We don't like to be the second person. So you can be in a physical location. You can't say because I was born in Nigeria. No, life does not better excuse, because there are many Nigerians. There are many of them. Dr. Okojuwela, she is the president of WTO. Kingsley Moghalu, there are many of them. You have Kofi Annan from Ghana. There are many of them. Nelson Mandela that have broken that cultural and continental limitation. So you can be in a physical location, but you must decide to have a different mental experience. And how do you do that? The first one is you're on this live stream this evening. The second one is books. Is it not funny that many people don't read books anymore? And we all think we're going somewhere. Like seriously. Seriously, you think you get to where you want to get to using raw knowledge that you have. Some people call it OT, street wisdom. So street is streetwise. In today's corporate complex world, it's not possible. You need to have lots of exposure to expand your possibilities. And that's one of the regrets I had when I was in Nigeria. I was preparing internally, reading books, which is very good. But you also need to go out to get a diverse worldview. And that's one of the things I've done in recent times. I've traveled just to see, and it preps your mindset. 5 destiny decisions that shapes your impact. I just hope we're taking some of these notes, we're taking the screenshots, because look at this, your salvation decision. And I've said it in the first web. We are so big on that. We are not apologetic about that. That we were talking about scaling new heights, and I started from existence to survival to thriving, impact, purpose, legacy. That legacy is if we serve the will of God or Satan. And there are some people are big on impact, but they are low on purpose. For example, people that, for example, they commit, they put their nudes, for example, on TikTok, and you get 100 million views. And that's impact. They'll tell you, for example, oh, they're impacting the world, but negatively, moral decadence. They're low on purpose. Now, you can't talk about purpose without referencing God, because purpose to who? If you remember in the first webinar in January, I said there must be an audience of one, God or Satan. Everything you do, whether in your company, there's some people that they invent new technologies, but for destruction. There's some people that invent things that helps increase the state of well-being of humanity. That's the purpose relevant to God. So your salvation decision. The second one is your marriage decision. Who you marry really matters. As young people, you get married to someone that is mediocre, person is going to mess up your life. You get married to a narcissistic person, you're going to become a shadow of yourself. And that's why you're thinking, I've got this idea. Before I met you, I used to be very vibrant. After I met you, no. Because you don't know that once you meet somebody, there's an exchange of energy system. Somebody that's a pessimist, that doesn't believe in a better worldview, you start living with that person. Before you know it, you become an unbeliever. An unbeliever in terms of your religion, but unbeliever in terms of your mindset. So be careful. Be careful. These are decisions that you must note. The third one is where you live. Like I said, you have to go out. Many of you as young people see backs in that failure of my parents' house. Meanwhile, you're of age to begin to explore the world beyond and above. The fourth one is where you worship, and we're having this Instagram live on this. Do you know you can be in a mediocre place of worship? That's the truth. The difference between you as a young person and that person that will achieve their dreams might just be the pastor that teaches them. Might just be the place that they worship. And I'm going to give you a context, for example. You're in a church, for example, that does not prioritize technology. For example, an older generation church, just preach the word and etc. And you're a young person. And there's somebody that goes to a different church that they prioritize streaming live. They stream, they do all these things, gadgets, camera. They learn all these things. They learn leadership skills, team building skills. Or you're just there. You're a young person. They tell you you're naive. You grow up, you have no experience. You have no skill. You can't work on a PowerPoint design. You can't work on the camera. I'm showing you how people amplify their options and why people close down their options just because of where they worship. And I'm going to do it and it's kind of like life on that. That as a young person, you must, because you are born into, for example, your parents' religion, isn't it? But you get to one point that you begin to determine what course you want to follow. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. But when I became an adult, I put away childish things. There are many of you that need to put away childish things and begin to focus on these key decisions here. That you don't go to church because my parents go to church. No, it's a place of building, it's a place of destiny formation. The fifth one is what work you do. Why am I saying this? Just by saying this, there's some courses that none of you should ever do again because it's going to be obsolete. It's already obsolete. And I don't have time to begin to mention them. I think it was one of my siblings that was going to apply to university. And I didn't even know that I had done the application. And he told me the courses he did. And I said, why are you setting yourself up for failure? This is not relevant in today's world anymore. And you're going to go struggle for the next 7 years of your life, and you come out and you have no advantage. Meanwhile, somebody just by the reason of that decision to do a very lucrative course is better than you because they finish, their opportunities, their openings, and you're thinking, why is this better than me? It's because of these decisions. You have to be careful of what work you do. The innovation imperative. Any endeavor that will change your life and move you. Look at the emphasis here from obscurity, from poverty, from non-entity, from being a mediocre to influence, income, and impact. Must be a novel idea. When I mean novel idea, a new idea, newness, or an existing idea that you brought innovation to. Once you determine that you want to be average and you want to work in corporate and structured system without you bringing key innovations or a new idea, you're going to be benchmarking. You don't going to get any promotion in the corporate system, or even if you're working on your own, you have a small business, you're not bringing innovation or newness to it, you're going to be mediocre. There's no day I don't search on innovation from how to take Prime Counsel to the next level, because that is in that action that unlocks the opportunities we get access to in coming years or coming months. It can never be adherence to structures and instructions. And this is where I remember in the last webinar I was speaking to one of the ladies that asked a question, I think Nicole, that asked about a decision. And I said, you have to be careful, because as much as even your parents, your guidance, your mentors can say, do this and that, who bears the consequences is you. So you must be careful of not just saying, I'm obeying my parents, yes, ma'am. Who bears the consequences? So it can never be adherence to structures, instructions, because every system now has a success ceiling. So if you want to get to global impact, and you're just doing the best minimum in your place of work, your voice is not going to be heard. There are many things that you need to outsource on your own. For example, me, I've got a corporate job, but I'm doing that first of all for survival, number 2 for thriving, number 3 for experience. But the major, I know that is capped, because anybody that wants to help you, they want to promote you, will not promote you above himself. And most times in corporate systems, it's either for you to get to the top, it's either there's a retiree, you play some kind of dirty games, or by shared divine favor. Those 3 things. You need newness in products, services, and systems, and that's why you have to be a creative thinker. You can be working in a corporate world, but what ideas are you taking from that you want to innovate in your own personal life of organization? Experience versus inspiration. Experience is what has worked in the past, and I'm so critical about this because, especially in the case of obvious results, your parents, for example, your pastor, for example, that your guidance, your mentor, they can tell you follow this path because I know better than you, I'm older than you, I have results, and you as a young person, you can be naive and you can look young. But what will get you to the future you want is inspiration. I'm not downplaying experience, but experience is what has worked in the past. Inspiration, inspired wisdom is what will take you to that depth of destiny, that place of destiny. It can never be by adherence to what one generation went through. The biggest voice in your life should be the Holy Ghost inspiring you, not your parents. Not your parents. When you see your parents, you see a compendium of results, yes, but you also see obvious mistakes. So you can never take everything they say 100% verbatim. As a young person, if you're a toddler, adolescent, why? Yes, of course, value system. But once you begin to become a youth in your 20s, you must first of all begin to first fundamental is to have an independent mind. That's why I said you need to be a critical thinker. To think about why is this person saying this kind of thing. I remember years ago, in my house they would say something like manage, and you have to manage this, you have to manage, just manage. You're not a good. And I said no. I told my daddy one day, I said I don't want to be a manager because it affects the subconscious. I want to live in abundance. I don't want to manage. I want to live in abundance. Now that's not being wasteful, but that's being intentional about the information that gets into your subconscious. Because why are they speaking? They're speaking out of, for example, lack. You must be very careful with this. The wisdom of the previous century is common sense in today's generation. It's common sense. All what your parents will say, I went to school, I had first class, ChatGPT will give you everything they learned in 5 years on the spot, with one prompt. Inspiration, inspired wisdom is what will take you to the next level. Fresh insight, innovative approach for tomorrow's challenge. And I'm telling you guys, the world is getting much more difficult than often. And you need drastic measures to thrive in drastic times. You must sit down as a young person and say, where are we even going? As a world, as a people, where are we going as a continent? Where are we going as a country? Where are we going as a family? Where are we going as me? Where am I going in life? I knew it many years ago that Nigeria can kill you. Look at my statement here. Can kill your dreams if you're not careful. And I decided that no, I was going to leave the country. I love my country and I help many people in my country. I've done infrastructure in Nigeria, but I need to come out of that system to be able to get a better worldview. Because I've seen Nigeria as my country kill the dreams of many people. And I came over here and you see people, just for example, by having a so-called passport, their destiny, realism, and actualization is different from you. Why? Not because you did anything wrong, but because you're a victim of a wrong system. And now you want to surrender your life, you want to live the outcome of your life to that kind of system. And some people, I met someone years ago, I think last year, the person was depressed because of NYC. No, even before I traveled out, I knew that there would be the down. I said it, many people, of course, on this call, people like Wale on this call, I told them that it will get to one point with this kind of pattern, it will be irrelevant. The power of redeeming time. Look at that. I want you to take these screenshots. I want this thing to ring a bell in your head. When I found this, in a very long time, I've not been sleeping early. I told myself, life is battle, guys. The people that you see that keep stardom, whether it's in football, politics, religion, business, they don't sleep much. Sleep is for lazy and broke people. Look at this. Their dimension. You will know which one you belong to. I met somebody. The person said, I wake up at 12 o'clock on Saturday. And the person felt so confident saying that. But I just know that in the next 15 years, you can't get anywhere. You will survive. But in terms of destiny actualization, nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. Regular wake up for other productivity. Some of you, you're a morning person. Today you must get to becoming an early morning person. Or by 7 or 8. The world has gone far. What are you doing with 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock? And there's the early morning crew. the very early morning too. Jesus Christ woke up very early in the morning and he prayed. As a young person, you spend most of your night doing something, investing in your future. I demand assignments equals I supply life. The bigger your calling, the earlier you must start preparing. Because I painted that picture connecting the dots. So if you know that your journey is 5 years, yeah, of course, no problem. But if you know you are going somewhere far in life, then you need to start early. There are many things I'm doing catch-up game on. And do you know the funniest thing? And I'm gonna get there in the next slide. I was inviting a young guy to one of the events we had on campus, and he said, "Oh, I'm in college, I'm not yet in the university." And everybody will be like, "Oh, that's fine, no problem." But I said, "Do you know what? I think we should attend this event because I know you are not in the college, but you might go for apprenticeship, or you might, of course, you go to university. Yeah, but is it when you get there, that's when you start acquiring the information you need for that level? Wise people acquire the information like the wise virgins. They acquire the light, the oil, the nail for the lamp before the bridegroom came. The foolish ones were not foolish because they did not have oil. It was the timing of it. They acquired it on the moment. The question is, are you foolish or wise? Don't answer me, your decisions will answer. I told them you should attend because now you're going to expose yourself. You're going to be way more ahead of your equals, of your colleagues, because you have the understanding of what the system works like. Guess what? It didn't come. I knew it was going to come. I knew that information, because he had access to it, it will trace him for life. It's like a mark. Do you know, because you're on this call this evening, you are being implicated because, let me tell you, the pain of mistake is much more lesser than the regret of inaction. That's what I'm saying. That's the regret you have from not taking a decision is much more bigger than the pain. Even when you make a mistake, you can feel pain, but you can learn from it, isn't it? Experience, you can get experience from it. But when you don't take any action at all, the regret is so painful. Because you're on this call, if you don't take use of this lesson, what will happen is that you live a life of regrets. And you have many of them, they will tell you something like, "Oh, those years, we're there." That's why we have many, I'll get there in a slide. We have many angry people in today's world, many envious people, many poor people, because of non-concept of redeeming time. You just trivialize time. Before you know it, they are 50 years old and they've achieved nothing in life. Now, look at the last slide, the power of redeeming time. Time goes so fast, time waits for no man. We know that. But there's a power of opportune time. We're not joking here tonight, guys. I didn't come here to joke. I didn't come here to just, observe, tick the box. We came here for real business. And that's why I said we are raising leaders, not followers. We have many followers in today's world. And I've always said, we are not content creators. We are value creators. We have hundreds of thousands of content creators all over the globe, but no impact. The world is still coming into demoralization, decadence, because we need true value creators. And this is one of it. Look at this, the power of opportune time. It's not every time that I can take a particular decision. It's not every time. There's a time gap for decision making. Look at the 4 boxes there. Let's look at the first one. There are some people, they take right action at the wrong time. Yes? So good ideas executed at the wrong moments. There are some other people, they take wrong actions at the wrong time, at the right time. Poor decisions during opportune moments. Those are people that stubborn come to and they mess up. The third one, wrong action and wrong time. The complete misalignment of action and timing. These ones are bankruptly foolish. They have nowhere to go. Mediocres. They are failures. But they are the few people that are the elite of this world. They take right action at the right time. The majority of people on this call belong to the first TV. Only a few people in today's world belong to the last one, the fourth one. not get anything from this call this evening, you have to gain the power of opportune time. They tell people on this call, for example, those that are due for marriage, for example, or marriageable age, like I said in the previous slide, that marriage decision is one of the best decisions. And because he doesn't have an understanding of this thing, he's not gonna speak over there and say, I can marry anytime, I can do anything anytime. Wow, that's a naive and novice speaking here. That's a naive and novice person speaking here. So, because the general balance is that only ladies are time bound, even for example for marriage. No, when you look deep constructively, men also are delayed. I was reading The Open Heaven by Pastor Adeboye I think 3 years, a month ago, and he said he advised young people to get married in time. So he said on time, but I said in time. So it's not about being early, but being in the time allotted for you. So I say in time because he said they gave birth early, he married early and was able to bear children early, and that was why he was able to face the ministry squarely. Is it when you're 40 years old and you have a nanny and a toddler, that's when you're going to go on a business trip to New York as a young lady or as a guy? Look at that. I'm leaving there for you to think. I want you guys to think about it. What box do you fit in here? Do you take right actions at the wrong time? Do you take wrong actions at the right time? Do you take wrong actions at the wrong time? Or are you willing to start taking the right action at the right time? Every now and then I always think about that, because sometimes you can forget that you should take an action. And that's why I said you need to have a loop of what you want to achieve in life, so that you know that by next year, this is what I need to have done. I should do it, I should have it scheduled for next year. But what about even doing it in the time allotted? There's a time allotted for everything. It is in the Bible. There's a time for everything under the sun. So for some of you that are supposed to go to school, you're not serious, you are feeling jammed, or for example, people that are supposed to, I told you about those who have migrated, it means that timing. Now, for example, Donald Trump in the US is putting many restrictions in the UK, in New Zealand, in Australia. So you're stuck with, so you have to now do extra just because of timing. Just timing. Just timing. The power of redeeming time. The power of opportune time. Because that's what I know that is my hedge. That has been my hedge over the years. I'm trying to even amplify my results to 100% so that I'm always on time in everything. When I came to the UK in 2019, do you know I saw some guys bought car? Yeah, they bought their car and they have international license. Yeah, if you come to the UK legally, you're allowed to have your international license for 1 year and drive all through. And they bought their cars, and they were able to drive because they were driving. They had the experience to go do their driving test, which is a major issue, especially in diaspora, whether you're in Canada or in the US or UK. Driving license is a major big deal. But they did it, and because they were already driving with the international license, they passed easily. When I came that time, do you know when I used to go to work, I used to pay these guys, I'll pay them £5, £10, but it never occurred to me that I need to also go and start my driving lessons. That's what I'm telling you there. It is later on, just last 2 years or so, I started the journey. But I missed that time because as at that time, I was a student. There was not any pressure. I didn't have much responsibilities. I could have done that. Now, you want to get a job now, they tell you need to have had UK full license. You can't apply for that job just because of that little thing. And I've been telling people, for example, in diaspora, whether in the UK, US, those are key decisions you must take. Those simple things can hinder big opportunities. But you don't think this way. And it took me 7 driving lessons. I spent thousands of pounds because of that timing. It was much more harder now, more restrictions, more regulations. Some people also with passports, for example, in Nigeria, okay, your passport and you won't get it until it becomes much more harder. And I told you about my story. I could have gotten it since. I almost lost the opportunity to travel because of delaying passports, because of time. Time is of essence in terms of destiny actualization. You have to go back from this call and think. Start with your next one. 2026 is coming. What do you want to achieve? What are the things you think is when you get to January you want to revise New Year resolution? No. Remember I told you morning, early morning, and very early morning. Very early morning, you must start from now. You must start from now. Initiative versus discernment. The sons of the prophets in the Bible, in the book of 1 Kings, Christian, look at something. They were the sons of the prophets. They were the traditional people that had the entitlement to inheriting the mantle on Elijah. When Elijah was to go to heaven, Elisha, which was not originally a son of the prophets, was following the master. He said, because he knew the power of opportunity. He knew the power of opportune time. He knew that if that master goes, that's the end. The master said, let's go to Jordan, or I think let's go to Jericho. Let's go to, tell I'll follow you anyway. And they went to 4 different locations, to Bethel, to Jericho, to Jordan. And he was following him. Meanwhile, the sons of the prophets, they were at those locations. They even told him. So now look at that. They had initiative. They knew the right action to take. They knew that the master was going. They knew that there would be a transference of mantle. They knew. They knew it. But lacked discernment, wrong timing. They didn't know that this thing is time bound. Once it goes, that's the end. The same thing with the foolish virgins also. They knew the bridegroom was coming. They knew they had to wait, right action, waiting for the bridegroom. But they didn't discern that they need oil. And not just oil when it comes. Oil before it comes. Wrong timing. And I don't know why I'm emphasizing this. Look at something. As soon as Elijah went to heaven and the mantle fell on Elisha, guess who was there again to come and bow down? The sons of the prophets. They had initiative. But why could they not bow down to Elijah rather than Elisha? If they had bowed down and humbled themselves with Elijah, they would have gotten mantle too. At least something. Wrong timing. Doing the right thing at the wrong time. They still bow down to the wrong person. See, they knew how to acknowledge the mantle. They knew how to respect it. They knew how to comply, but they didn't know how to receive it. Why? They were wired with a servant mentality. No successor mindset. And that's the problem of many people, especially if you are from struggling background. You always do things at the wrong time. That's what they call the spirit of error. Why ideas fail? Ideas really fail because they are bad. Most ideas have merit and potential for success. They fail due to lack of structure. Due to lack of structure, your dreams need a delivery system. They need a delivery system. And now let me introduce the next webinar. First, can we have the next webinar, October webinar? Can I see it? Is it ready? Look at this. I'm getting change, and I had to just bring that. I'm getting change. how to move from survival to making it big. Look at that. You don't want to miss this, guys. You don't want to miss this on the 30th of October. So we're going to continue this particular topic we're talking about. So because many of you are going to be making decisions, but you also need somebody to hold you by the hand. That's why I had to cut in there. Because navigating change, you need a skill to achieve that. All right? So let's continue. Ideas really fail because they lack structure, but because they need a delivery system. Without structure, dreams become momentum waiting for leak. One of the first structure you must build is excellence. Excellence, and look at something there. You must first have excellence first of all as the mindset. Because you're thinking, I don't have money, and I don't have connection, and I don't know anybody. Shut up your mouth. Shut up. Shut up. Excellence first as a mindset. How do you even take care of your one room first? Small ideas. How do you take care of that small idea? Of that small you? Of that small room? Of that small job? That's what determines how you will take care and thrive in the big job, in the big room, in the big organization. So you must have excellence as a mindset first. As a young person, you wake up in the morning, your room is dirty. You can't get anywhere because your room is a portrait of your mindset, and that's the way you take on to your organizations. Your office is haphazard. Excellence as a mindset first. That even if you don't have money, yes, you are saying, oh, your parents is how people perceive you. You don't have money to buy clothes. Wash that clothes that you have. It's what you have. Wash it and let it be clean. Iron it. Go and borrow iron and iron it and dress it. When you go to the kitchen and you eat, you add the wisdom. Okay, you were tired, isn't it? You were tired to wash the plate, but you were not tired to wash it before you ate. But you were tired to not wash it after eating, and you want to go far. These are the little these small ideas that accumulate into global. Because I have it here. So yeah. Can I have my slides? Yeah, just a moment. Yeah. Execution over perfection. Done is better than perfect. Because you might be thinking, is this a call to perfectionism? No. It's a call to progress, not perfection. Because it's a journey, isn't it? Even global organizations, they're always doing systems improvements. So no one has gotten it all, but there must always be that desire for progress, for improvement. The key is to start and improve along the way, rather than waiting for that perfect moment. So as we begin to conclude this evening, I want you to, of course, you've written down many things, your goals, your plans, your ideas. Don't wait for that perfect moment to start. I didn't wait for the perfect moment to start Prime Council. If you go back to our first video, you're going to see the background with the Christmas tree. But that's not what we're using today. Because you learn along the way. The key is for you to take action. Start something. That idea, begin to work on it. Connecting the dots as we begin to conclude, you have to see the big picture. The ability to understand how, of course, systems thinking. I've said that many times. Link skills upon opportunity together. You know, I've been telling those of my mentees that are my inner circle, and if you're not in my inner circle, you need to join. If you go to my link on my Instagram channel and TikTok, there are many courses They are already available. We're going to launch it in our next webinar. You want to get in touch with me for counseling, for vision clarity call. We have many people that have been beneficiaries of that. We have the next month webinar coming up, and also the December masterclass for the UK audience. Let me bring that up. The hidden process of becoming highly valued in 2026. I have many people in the UK. They want to speak, they want to get in touch, they want to speak with me, they want a session. This is a program for you, not to me. So we're going to begin to share that. You want to get your tickets, everything's on our bio, on Instagram, on our channels. So just let's take note of that. Saturday, 20th of December. Thank you. So you must be able to link all these skills, what you have as at now, that gift you have as at now. Because you might thinking, how can I get to the globe? I don't have money. And I've told, for example, go and start learning graphic designing. And some people might say, oh no, it should not give me any money. No. Because you're starting, you can start as a graphic designer, but because you know that there's a law of growth, you can't end up as a graphic designer. Because the fundamental that you need if you want to become a chief product manager in global organization is your eye, for example, for colors. Do you know these are the things that I'm not learning now? Now I'm taking trainings and lessons on PowerPoint and Excel. As simple as it may seem. Because let me tell you, even if you're a director, if you're a CEO, you're a manager, there's one thing that you will do. You will present. That you do a PowerPoint slide and present. So as a young person on this call, you're thinking, I don't have money for this, how do I learn this course? Go and start learning Excel, PowerPoint, know how to design. Pay attention to details. Spot out, read grammar books, isn't it? And spot out for grammatical errors. Those are the things that make you stand out. That's what I'm seeing my directors do. They just know how to do oral communication and presentation, and their slides are perfect and clean. And that's what I'm training myself to do. I want to get to this level. It's not just about how do I connect my skills now with it. And that's why we always show up here, because you want to be a good communicator. You want to be a good communicator. But also presentations, especially visual presentations. And we're going to have that session later on. I'm going to be teaching you how to connect. So from a graphic designer, you can become a product designer. It's all called UI UX now. So the key fundamental things for you to become a UI UX designer is basic knowledge of colors and designs. And some of you have that on a platter of gold because you can't connect with those. You don't see the big picture. Recognize patterns. If you're in the bus going to work, recognize the patterns. Meditate. Think critically. Why is this thing working? Why is this thing not working? How can it work better? Critical thinking. Peter could not connect the dots, despite him seeing Jesus Christ. He gave him a net-breaking catch. He told him to go and take money from the fish. He walked on water. Despite all those things, the grace for influence, he didn't get it. Despite that, he said, silver and gold I have not. This was someone that saw first-hand miracles of abundance. Why? He could not discern. Discernment is really essential. Knowing how to take right actions at the right time. As we begin to conclude this evening, the dangers of not connecting the dots. Anger, like I've said, envy and jealousy, poverty, pain and regrets. So much. What are the things you need to be able to make big impacts? To make big impact? Curiosity, audacity, and capacity. You have to be curious. You have to be audacious. Boldness to take actions. Capacity. You want it to be promoted. You want it to stay promoted. I'm going to end with this scripture in 1 Timothy 4 verse 15. He said, till I come. He said, let no man despise thy youth. Yeah? Let no man despise you as a young person. In your journey to connecting the dots, on the journey to growth. But till I come, give attendance to reading, to exaltation to doctrine. Neglect not the gift that is in you. There's the gift in you. Neglect it not. He said, give attention to it. Pay attention to your ideas, to your convictions, to your concepts, your designs. Those designs, those drawings you did that you think, what's this? Pay attention to it. You know how much they sell drawings in today's world? That's professional drawings. Millions of pounds. That's what the Bible is saying. Pay attention to it, to your giftings, to your skills and talents. Give yourself only to it. Build capacity. And what will happen? Your profiting will appear unto all. So I'm going to give you a 30 days dot plan. We're going to put this on our channel, on our WhatsApp channel, Instagram channel. First one is you have to read 15 minutes daily. Orientation. That's the first thing. You have to change your orientation. How do you change it? Read 15 minutes daily. The second one is you have to build capacity. Practice one skill for 30 minutes every day. I'm giving you practical things that you can do. What I've been doing now is no matter how busy I am, during the day I've done everything. Before I sleep, I must read a book. Something must get into my head. I must watch the sermon. And I've been doing that for many years. And I'm even not committed to it now. Because I know that you can't get to stardom unprepared. The third one is relationships. Reach out to 3 strategic people. You need mentors. And I've said the men are ladders. Mentorship is, ladder. Reach out to people in your locality, in your communities, people that are doing well. Reach out to them. Have them as friends on your social media channels. Don't go to junks and trends. Delete all those things and get into and follow intellectual people. You have me there. How many people follow how many of you follow the things we put there? Some of you don't even repost, you don't like, you don't comment. And these are things that are done for you. And you're not compelled to do that. But what will happen is that, like I said, you are being implicated because you have heard this information. And the fourth action is for you review. You must always meditate, take feedbacks, evaluate, adjust. If you do this consistently, you will see transformation in 30 days, in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years. And what will happen? You will be the first beneficiary of a transformation. In the next 5-10 years, you may not have achieved everything you have wanted in life, but you will not be in that state of pain or regret, because you know that irrespective of certain limitations, there are still some obvious results and outcomes that you've been able to achieve. So thank you very much for joining, guys, tonight. I really, really appreciate you joining. And of course, repost it, share the links also. It's going to record, is recorded also. Share the links with all your friends, all your family. So we meet again next month, October 30th, Navigating Change. See you next time. Bye.